Welcome to the first installment of the book 10 Steps to Less Anxiety and Stress at Work. I am Tom Weaver, one of the trainers and therapists here at Beam Development and Training and co-author of this book. Last week, we covered the introduction and looked at the contents of the book. This week, we're going to look at the first chapter, the sources and signs of stress and anxiety at work. If any questions come up during this live, I will come to them at the end, or you can put them in an email. Stress and anxiety are normal and inevitable parts of life. They're natural responses to situations that are challenging, uncertain, or threatening. They can help us perform better, adapt to changes, and overcome difficulties. However, when stress and anxiety become too intense, frequent, or prolonged, they can have negative effects on our physical, mental, and emotional health. They can also interfere with our work performance, relationships, and quality of life. Therefore, it is important to be able to identify the sources of stress, the sources and signs of stress and anxiety at work, so that we can take steps to manage them before they become overwhelming or harmful. The sources of stress and anxiety at work can vary from person to person, depending on their personality, preferences, expectations, values, skills, and coping strategies. However, some common sources are workload. So you might have too much or too little work to do, facing unrealistic deadlines or targets, receiving conflicting and unclear responsibilities, lacking resources, support to complete the work. So the work environment might be noisy, crowded, unsafe, uncomfortable. There might be poor lighting, ventilation, or temperature control. Might just lack equipment or facilities. Your work relationships, poor communication or cooperation with colleagues and managers, having conflicts or disagreements with others, being harassed or discriminated at work, receiving a lack of feedback or recognition for the work that you've done. Work culture, a high pressure or competitive work culture with a lack of autonomy or control over the work process or outcomes. Might be a lack of trust or respect in the workplace, a mismatch between the personal and organizational values or goals. The work-life balance. You might be facing difficulty balancing the demands and expectations of work and personal life, a lack of time or energy for leisure and social activities, a lack of support or understanding from family or friends. These signs of stress and anxiety at work can also vary from person to person, depending on how they react to and cope with stressful situations. Whilst you may experience difficult responses, stress and anxiety tend to impact us physically, mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. So the physical signs you might experience: headaches, muscle tension, fatigue, insomnia, digestive problems, chest pain, palpitations, sweating, or trembling. You might have mental signs of having difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions, having negative thoughts, worrying excessively, feeling overwhelmed, being indecisive, or easily distracted. Emotional signs: you might be suffering from mood swings, feeling irritable, angry, frustrated, nervous, depressed, hopeless, or bored. Behavioral signs might include things like changing in appetite, sleep patterns, alcohol or drug use, being more impulsive, aggressive, withdrawn, isolated, avoiding tasks or people, procrastinating, making mistakes, being less productive, creative, or motivated. If you notice any of these signs in yourself or others at work, it may indicate that you or they are experiencing unhealthy amounts of stress or anxiety. It is important to acknowledge these signs and seek help if needed. We'll cover more in a later chapter about seeking help. But let's just cover some of the key takeaways from this chapter. Experiencing some stress and anxiety is an inevitable part of being a human being. Stress and anxiety become problematic when we feel they are prolonged, excessive, or too frequent. We are all different and therefore have different thresholds for stress and different responses to it. Stress and anxiety can impact our behavior, our bodies, our thoughts, and our feelings. So that's it for chapter 1. So before we go, let's look at this week's challenge. So from this chapter, just look at what sources of anxiety or stress you have at work and look at how they affect you. Is there anything that you can do to change the sources? If there isn't, what support can you prepare for those times where it might be needed? So next week, in chapter 2, we will discuss how to adopt a positive mindset and attitude towards your work. This can help you reframe some potentially difficult situations. And as always, if you have any questions, then please reach out to us at office@beamtraining.co.uk. And if you want a copy of this book, it is available on Amazon. And you can also get it for free if you go to our website at beamtraining.co.uk. And I'll see you next week. Bye.